It began like any other night in the Bridgefield Police Department dispatch center. The steady hum of machines, the low flicker of fluorescent lights, and the faint scent of stale coffee all mixed into a rhythm Melissa Green had grown used to in her 10 years as a dispatcher. Nights were long, but they were rarely frightening. Most calls were domestic disputes, occasional reckless drivers, or noise complaints from restless neighbors. But that night, at exactly 12:17 a.m., the phone rang, and nothing would ever be the same again. 911. "What's your emergency?" Melissa asked, her voice calm, automatic, drilled into her bones after years of practice. For a long second, there was nothing but static. She tapped her headset, checked her board. "Hello? This is 911. Do you need assistance?" Then came the sound. Breathing. Shallow, broken, uneven. Melissa leaned forward in her chair, heart skipping a beat. "If you can hear me, say something." Finally, a whisper. "They're inside." Her body tensed. "Who's inside?" "They're in the house," the voice answered, shaking, almost inaudible. Melissa started the trace. The line pinged from Hawthorne Lane, on the far end of town. Her stomach dropped when she saw the number, 74 Hawthorne Lane, the abandoned house. "Stay on the line," Melissa urged, fingers flying. "I'm sending officers to you right now." "No, you don't understand." The woman's voice cracked, like she was forcing the words out. "You can't help me." "Why not?" "Because they don't want help. They only want me." Melissa froze. Static hissed in her ear, and then she heard it, layered beneath the woman's words, a second voice, higher-pitched, childlike, whispering just one word. "Stay." Melissa felt her scalp prickle. She swallowed. "Ma'am, are there children in the house with you?" The woman paused. Her breathing grew ragged, almost panicked. "I don't have children." There was a sudden crash, followed by a scream so raw it pierced Melissa's ears. "Get out! Get away from me!" Melissa's heart raced as she shouted, "Ma'am, stay with me! The police are almost there!" But the woman's next words were strangled sobs. "They're touching me! I can't move! Please, oh God, please!" The line went silent. Melissa's fingers trembled as she flagged the call urgent. Units 23 and 19 were dispatched immediately. Officers Daniels and Miller in one car, Officer Rivera in another. They were 3 of the department's most solid patrolmen, and they raced toward Hawthorne Lane with sirens piercing the quiet night. Melissa stayed on the line. The call timer continued to tick, but there was nothing on the other end. No breathing, no static, nothing. The Victorian house loomed in the beams of their cruisers, its sagging porch and shattered shutters standing like a corpse against the night. Daniels and Miller arrived first, stepping out cautiously, flashlights drawn. "Dispatch. We're at 74 Hawthorne Lane," Daniels reported. Melissa's voice crackled in their radios. Caller said intruders were inside. She screamed and went silent, lines still open. The front door was unlocked. It groaned as Daniels pushed it open. "Bridgefield Police," Miller shouted into the darkness. Their flashlights swept across the living room. Dust coated everything. A chair lay overturned, a lamp shattered, shards of glass glittered across the carpet. And in the center of the floor lay a cell phone. Its cracked screen still glowed faintly. The active call timer continued to run. "Dispatch, phone is here, still connected," Daniels muttered. He crouched and reached for it. The moment his fingers brushed the device, the screen went black. The timer vanished. The call ended. Daniels flinched, dropping it. "What the hell?" Miller looked up sharply. "Do you hear that?" A creak. From upstairs. Both officers aimed their lights at the staircase. Slowly, cautiously, they climbed, the wood groaning under their boots. At the top, the hallway stretched with doors on either side. Daniels nudged open the first empty bedroom. Dust and cobwebs. The second. Broken dresser. Floorboards warped. The third. A faint sound inside. A whisper. "Stay." Miller's eyes widened. "You heard that?" Daniels nodded. On three. They burst in together. The beam of their lights cut across faded wallpaper, once covered in cheerful animals, now peeling and gray. A nursery. In the corner, a rocking chair swayed slowly, as if moved by unseen hands. On the dusty floor were footprints, small, child-sized. But they stopped halfway across the room, vanishing into nothing. Daniels whispered, "This isn't right." Their radios hissed violently, static screaming in their ears. Then Melissa's voice, broken, frantic. "You're not alone, get out!" Silence. The rocking chair groaned as it swayed harder, and then laughter. High, childish, but twisted, stretched, wrong. Miller stumbled back, flashlight shaking. "Where is that coming from?" The laughter filled the room, bouncing from wall to wall. Neither officer answered. They fled down the hall. Rivera burst in through the front door, gun drawn. He met them halfway down the stairs. "What's going on?" he demanded. Daniel's face was pale. "House is empty, but," he trailed off. Melissa came through their radios, her voice steadier now. "I checked records. No one's lived there in decades. Owner was Evelyn Price. She disappeared 20 years ago, never found." Miller's voice cracked. "Then who called us?" Before anyone could answer, the broken phone rang. All three officers jumped. Its cracked screen lit up. One word, unknown. Daniels hesitated, then answered, his face drained of color. On the other end, his own voice whispered, "They're inside." He dropped the phone, heart pounding. The sound cut off. Back at dispatch, Melissa pulled up the recording. The woman's trembling words filled her headset again. "They're inside." But beneath it, something she hadn't noticed before. Voices. Many voices. Layered whispers. Men and women. Children. Old and young. All repeating the same word. "Stay." Melissa ripped the headset off, bile rising in her throat. The officers regrouped in the living room. The air felt heavier now, as though the house itself were pressing against their lungs. Rivera shook his head. "We need to clear this place and leave. It's just an echo, or interference, or something." But even as he said it, Miller froze. His flashlight beam had landed on the wall. Words were etched into the peeling paint, scratched deep. "We only want one more." His stomach churned. What the hell does that mean? The answer came in the form of their radios crackling to life again, all three at once. "They only want you." Then silence. They left as the first light of dawn broke. Their reports were vague, stripped of the details that would ruin their credibility. They logged it as a possible prank call. No caller identified. House empty, no evidence. Melissa didn't tell anyone about the whispers. But the file vanished from the system by the next morning. Deleted. No one admitted to touching it. Days passed. But the unease didn't leave. Daniels dreamed of the nursery, the laughter circling him in the dark. He woke drenched in sweat, the sound still echoing in his ears. Miller's hands shook when he drove past Hawthorne Lane. He swore he saw the curtain shift in the upstairs window, though the house was empty. Rivera tried to shrug it off, but one night his radio crackled with static while he sat in his cruiser, and his own voice whispered through, "They're inside." A week later, Melissa was alone on the night shift when the line rang again. She answered automatically. 911, what's your emergency?" The breathing returned. Slow, shallow. Her heart pounded as she whispered, "Who is this?" The voice came through, trembling, broken. "They're inside." Melissa's blood ran cold. "Where are you?" The address popped up on her screen. Hawthorne Lane. But this time, the caller said something new. "They said my name." Melissa's throat closed. "What's your name?" The voice cracked, distorted, but clear enough to send a shiver down her spine. "Melissa." Her headset slipped as she jerked back. The line filled with static. and then layered beneath dozens of whispers, repeating over and over, "Stay." She tore the headset off, trembling, but the phone kept ringing, over and over, until she realized it wasn't the console ringing anymore. It was her cell phone. She pulled it from her pocket with shaking hands. Unknown number. She answered without meaning to, and on the other end her own voice whispered, "They're inside." Her hand went numb, the phone slipped from her grasp, and in the quiet of the dispatch center she heard it. The creak of floorboards. Footsteps. Inside. With her,